Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is DFree, and for today's video, we are going to be talking about Dragon Ball Super Superhero. So if you haven't seen my review of the video, check it out, or the movie, excuse me, check it out. The link will be down below. This video is not going to really have spoilers like that. I mean, you may get spoiled in terms of characters, like forms or whatever, but I guess that's it. But I'm not going to talk about spoilers in this video. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe for more content, as well as clicking that notification bell so you don't miss anything we upload here on the channel. If you haven't seen the movie, I'll leave a link down below to my sponsor with Regal Theater, so you guys can go ahead and get some tickets and go see the movie. I had a fun time watching it with a couple of my buddies. So anyways, that being said, we're going to talk about and we're going to chronicle what's been going on with Superhero in the theaters and how well the movie is or isn't doing. So stay tuned as we talk about several things. We're going to talk about comparisons to Broly and how this movie is doing versus how that movie did in terms of the sheer amount of theaters it's played in, etc. Also, a 23-year-old record that this movie may or may not have broken. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and follow DBS Hype's Twitter here. So follow him on Twitter. But we're going to chronicle kind of what's been happening. It's been a fun time watching the news come out over the last few days over on Twitter. So starting things off, the movie came out in Japan several months ago. So that's not really a factor until we get to the very end of what we're going to talk about. But the movie did come out across the world, not everywhere, but in several spots across the world as of Thursday. So as you see here, it's out today. Oh, it came out Thursday for a preview, and it officially came out on Friday if the preview wasn't available for you. Anyways, so Friday it was officially out in the US, UK, Canada, Ireland, Australia, and many more countries he lists here. So starting things off, based off of that Thursday preview, the movie did earn $4 million. Okay, again, that's prior to the actual official launch on Friday. So a lot of times theaters do the night before preview stuff. Oftentimes I see movies in that setting. It's pretty fun. So anyways, moving on. $4 million on the Thursday night that it came out. And then it officially came out on Friday. And on Friday, and these numbers are for the US only. I told you it's in a bunch of places. This is US only right now. Superhero grossed $6.4 million on Friday, and if you factor that in with the Thursday before for the previews, by the second day, or really the first official day if you're following me, the movie had earned $10.4 million. Okay, so basically on opening day, Superhero opens the box with 10.4, which is pretty amazing. And it's really amazing when you look at this next post. DBS Superhero broke the 23-year-old record of best opening day of all time for an anime by surpassing Pokemon the first movie at the US box office. The numbers are 10.8 versus 10.1. So this was a 23-year-old record. Just for the record, think about how many movies have come out, even just recently, but over 23 years. This is anime only, by the way, obviously. And yeah, Superhero now holds the record for the best sales on opening day for an anime movie. First and foremost, that's incredible. That's incredible. It honestly, truly is incredible. And it's incredible for two reasons. First and foremost, it's incredible because that means Superhero is doing well. It's also really incredible for Pokemon. And let me explain why. I'm a 90s baby. Shout out to all you guys listening that are as well. And Pokemon, I'd argue, is at its absolute peak from the late 90s to early to mid 2000s. I think it's still really popular today, but it's definitely, in my opinion, nothing compared to what it was then. It was a titan. The series was insane, man. And also, Pokemon broke barriers. It's one of those series that, and Dragon Ball is in the same vein, if you will, and Sailor Moon, but Pokemon was just one of those series that was able to transcend the borders, if you will, and really be popular in all areas of the world as opposed to just being in Japan or whatever the case is. And, later on things follow suit with other series that are very successful like Naruto and Bleach and whatever. But Pokemon was one of those originals, right? So it was incredible. Now, it's incredible for Pokemon because they had 10.1. If you were to go ahead and look at inflation numbers over 23 years, I believe that 10.1 is something like 17 million. That would show you that if Pokemon launched today and if everything else was equal, like their popularity, like I talked about a moment ago, they would be blowing Superhero the hell out of the water. My goodness. So, yeah, Pokemon is a titan. At least that first movie was insane. I remember going to see it, and the second movie, oh my God. So, yeah, nonetheless, though, Superhero now holds a 23-year-old record. Well, starts over a new 23-year-old record that was previously held there. Also, Superhero earned $20.1 million in 3 days opening weekend in the US, with the movie being played in 3,000 plus theaters. And for comparison, Broly earned the same amount of money in 5 days as opposed to 3, with the movie being in 1.2K plus theaters as opposed to 3,000. So this is interesting because I'm not gonna tell you that like this is bad for either movie. It's very good. This, though, did spark a lot of debate in the community because it's just like, okay, if you look at it on the surface, what this tells you is Superhero is doing so good because there's 3 days versus 5 because of the sheer amount of theaters, which I will not discredit. Superhero is in more than twice as many theaters. Now, the thing about this and why I wouldn't compare is because, for one, Superhero's not in this many theaters if it's not for the success of Broly. If you understand, they're not looking at these properties, but obviously they're not because it's all Dragon Ball, really. The big wigs that handle this series are not looking at these properties and saying, well, it's not as good as Broly because it didn't do this or that. They're saying, oh, well, Broly did so good, that gives us the confidence because we know Dragon Ball sells. That gives us the confidence to say, we're going to put Dragon Ball, even without Goku and all that being, you know, really prominent and heavily featured in this movie, and with this movie being CG, there are actually things that work against this movie. I could talk about things that work in the favor of Broly versus things that are working against this movie to really give context. We'll do that in a second. They're so confident in it that they're going to launch it in all these theaters, right? So the movie's doing really good, but it also is more likely to do good due to the sheer number of spots it's in. Now, the number of theaters is also misleading because there are several theaters that a lot of people have shown me pictures of that are bordering on empty, okay? That doesn't mean they're selling out every theater. That's just not the case. My theater was probably half to 3/4 full, and I saw it on Friday, the opening day, with a couple of my friends, and, you know, we had a good time. There are people that are literally in these empty theaters. So this is heavily misleading. So that also could apply to Broly too, for the record. But like, don't look at it and just say, oh, this and that, because not everything's equal, right? But I think it's a little bit more relevant when it comes to Superhero because the sheer amount of locations it's in, you're bound to have duds. You're bound to have more duds than 1.2, right? I'd imagine. So anyways, like I was saying, factors that work in favor of Broly is Broly has so much promotion. I mean, think about the promotion of that movie versus this movie. If you could just get in a time machine, go back like 4 years or whatever, think about the promotion of that movie. Really and honestly, that movie got promoted so heavily. I think part of that was because I need to go back and look at the dates. It might not have been a huge difference. I don't think it really was. But coming on the heels of Resurrection F, I think Resurrection F only came out like 3 years prior or something like it. It really wasn't that long. But anyways, 4 years prior. Anyways, so just discount that point. The reason why Broly got so much promotion was because it was on the heels of Super. And this is something that also, like, I talked about this recently when I talked about the sales of, like, Dokkan versus Japan, or Dokkan versus Legends, excuse me. Now, there are a lot of factors in that game as to why, but there are things that work in favor of Dokkan that never worked in favor of Legends. Legends never really got to benefit from super hype, you know what I'm saying? Dokkan always did, up until it couldn't anymore, but it always did. So there are a lot of different factors, and this coming out years after the anime has ended, and the manga, the reason why like the characters in the manga are not in the games and stuff like that is because, just put bluntly, nobody reads manga. Okay, nobody reads manga outside of Japan, to reiterate. So like, you may read it, I read it, you may read it, but that's not enough for them to care. That's why they're waiting for the anime production to come back to adapt Moro's arc and all these other things, and then they'll put them in games and blah blah. But the manga is irrelevant outside of Japan. So my point is that the movie here, and also Legends by extension, they don't have access to the boon of that and the weekly eyes on popularity on the series to the same degree outside of Japan. Also, when it comes to this movie versus Broly got so much promotion that like they even got like, there's a couple of really fun songs from that movie, but the Blizzard song is so popular as a song in and of itself. That song slaps too. But like, this movie has nothing like that. So in terms of promotion, they don't even have anything cool like that going on, and there's less campaigns that are tied to this movie. Also, the huge difference of 3+ months or whatever doesn't help whatsoever. I mean, all the ads I've seen for this movie have been like Twitter promoted ads from Crunchyroll, basically. I don't watch any like TV, I just watch streaming services, so I don't see any commercials really. So, you know, it is what it is. But They also don't have access to the games with this movie either. Unlike Broly, Broly had stuff instantly in games, by the way, which is cross promotion between more Dragon Ball based IPs, because inevitably there are going to be people that play Dokkan or Legends or whatever that aren't really too familiar with the movie and maybe were swayed to go see the movie because these new characters came out. This movie doesn't have that. Well, they have Gamma 1 and 2. Ooh, my goodness. For the record, I enjoyed Gamma 1 and 2, but they're not swaying nobody to go see the movie. anyways, just based off of the game, right? Anyways, so like there are different things like that. So I said all that to say that this isn't really a comparison, but Broly did so good, and they don't have the confidence to launch Superhero with shoddy promotion in so many locations if it wasn't for Broly. The reason why this is happening is because Broly did so well. That's the point. That's what I really wanted to get across. Despite the fact that there are so many differences and promotional differences, and the fact this movie's in CG, which it probably hurts it on some sale fronts, even though I think it looks really good most of the time. This movie's in CG all the way through. This movie has, I mean, like, look at this shot of Gohan. I mean, the bang looks really, really long, but that's a good looking shot, man. The movie looks good. Anyways. So yeah, there's factors that work against this movie just naturally, right? So it is what it is, the delay, all these things. But it's really cool to see it doing well, and just as a whole, Dragon Ball movies being successful. So I said all that to say we're going to conclude with this. Worldwide, up until the 21st, so a couple of days ago, Dragon Ball Super had grossed $45.2 million. I wouldn't be surprised if this movie even doubles, to be honest, or this number, doubles by the time it's done in theaters, out in the rest of the world. It's still not even out everywhere, so like I wouldn't be surprised if it doubles, or at least adds 50% more, gets to 70. I wouldn't be surprised. So the thing about this is, if you're not a fan of the movie, you don't love the CG, you prefer Broly's movie, you prefer XYZ movie, those are all fine things. Not everybody likes this movie. Not everybody's going to like this or anything else, because that's just how the world is. Not everybody likes the same stuff. I think it's still, if you're a fan of the series, I'm not going to tell you to go support the movie, right? Because it's up to you. But I think it's worth consideration because it's not a contest. Okay, it's not a contest. You don't, like, I know inevitably there are people that don't want to see this movie succeed because they don't want to see them come back and do more CG, and they don't want to see Gohan be in the lead role, which I guess you could argue Piccolo is the main character of this movie. That's a fun discussion because he's got a lot of, it's a lot of it's from his perspective, especially the first half. Anyways, you don't want to see like X character in the lead role. You want to see more of Goku and Vegeta, so you're not going to support the product that doesn't give you what you want, which is a fair thing to do. But I would give pause only because supporting this is supporting Dragon Ball. Supporting Dragon Ball means more Dragon Ball. If you want Dragon Ball, you support Dragon Ball any way you possibly can. Whether it's this, whether it's merch, you support Dragon Ball. You want more Dragon Ball movies? Go see the ones we got. Because if you don't, I don't think this will happen to Dragon Ball because it's a really big IP. But if you don't support these animes, then we don't get as much of it localized. That's the point. And Dragon Ball is such a massive IP that it is going to, and with it breaking records, this movie literally breaking records, and being able to set new standards, that gives these companies in Japan more confidence in their own products, whether it's this or JJK or Demon Slayer, other movies that have come out recently. I don't know, maybe there's a Boruto movie on the way. I don't know, man. It gives them more confidence in their IPs and the success that they'll have worldwide. And it really just, by anime and Dragon Ball doing well, really just widens the borders for us. And it gives us an opportunity to get more of anime in general, not just Dragon Ball, but anime in general. So if you love these contents and stuff like that, be sure to support it how you can. So nonetheless, again, it's not really, I don't really think it's a competition, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. So we're going to see a few things here. And the first, it's the anime that's the first anime to debut at #1 in the domestic office since Mewtwo Strikes Back in 1999. Again, 23 record. We talked about that. Idris Elba also had a movie come out this weekend, and Superhero blew it out the water. So I think that's everything about superhero news. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, follow Hype on Twitter. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see all of you next time. And if you, oh, by the way, if you want to see that Dokkan Legends video, it should be on the screen right now.